Hi, welcome. Just checking if I'm live. Okay, I think I'm live. Yep, I'm live. So, welcome to the first ever live stream of A Life Under Construction. It's a new format I'm trying out. And if you're here, you obviously know who I am. I'm Rhoda. But if you have somehow uh, stumbled upon this link, I host the Life Under Construction podcast, which I started just this month. And we're 3 episodes in already, and I just wanted to get on here on a live stream to delve a little bit deeper into the three topics, because I feel like I got a lot of questions from people who listen to the podcast or watch the podcast on YouTube, and many of those questions were very common. And it's just easier to come on here and talk to you directly on a live. It's a new format for me, so excuse me if I make a few mistakes and if I stumble a little bit along the way. But I hope to make sure that I answer a few of your questions. I'm also going to be answering questions live. So if you have any questions, you can put in your questions in the comment box and I will answer them as soon as possible. I've already collected a few questions and I'm going to just start with them so that you're not wasting your time. I believe a lot of you are here on a Saturday night. So, Saturday night is usually a time where you spend with family or you're out somewhere doing your shopping. But I'm grateful that you've taken the time to come here and listen to me talk and to just discuss topics that I feel like we don't really talk about in life. I have a few friends who I get a chance to talk about these things, but many people don't really talk about this. And that is why I started this podcast. It started with that idea that let's talk about things that are important. Let's talk about things that enable us to live the lives we are meant to live. And let's do things differently so that we actually build the lives that we want to build. So let's start with the first question that I got from my first podcast episode, that was peace. If you haven't watched any of the episodes, I'll link them in the description. But I probably think you have, and that's why you're here. So, one of the first questions that people ask me about peace is, how do I have peace if the people around me are not peaceful? And that is a very common reality for many of us, because once we decide to choose peace, we decide that, okay, I'm going to be a peaceful person. I'm not going to react to a situation, I'm going to respond to it in a calm manner. Somehow the people around us don't allow us to be at peace. They kind of trigger us or say something, or they force us to react rather than respond. And that's why the question comes up, like, what do I do when people around me are not being peaceful and therefore I'm stuck? I think in those situations, the best thing to do is to still be the person who is calm, to be the person who is at peace, the person who chooses peace. Because at the end of the day, you can't control anybody else. You can't control your parents. You can't control your spouse. You can't control your friends. You can only control your reaction to the situation. And so when you are that person, I don't think anybody should be able to trigger you or should be able to control you, because it's kind of like giving your control, your emotions control to someone else. And we often do that with our life, because we say, you annoyed me, or you made me angry, or you triggered me, and you irritated me. So, because of you, my mood is off. And we give that control to the other person. I think that's not the wisest thing to do, because then we lose control on ourselves. And for everything that happens in our life, we then blame it on other person. So if you are someone who feels like everybody around you is causing chaos, is causing drama, is causing you to not live a life of peace, I would encourage you to still continue to choose peace, because it's about you. Your life is about you and your reaction. And if you choose and you decide to be at peace, I think no one can stop you, because no one can force you to react. No one can force you to be angry. No one can force you to be disrespectful. That's a choice that you are making. And I also think that once you choose peace, I think you can influence the atmosphere around you, who can influence the people around you, because you become the calm one. And they look at you and see a calm person, and they say, okay, maybe we calm as well. So if people around you are still behaving the same way or acting the same way or reacting the same way, I think once you decide to choose peace, then you can be at peace wherever you want to be. It's kind of like being in a local train. And if you've been in the Mumbai local trains, or you've heard of them or seen the videos, you'll know that it's chaos. It's utter chaos. But I've seen people, women, cutting vegetables on the local train. I've seen people reading on the local train. I've seen people sleeping on the local train when other people are like fighting and shouting. There's a person who's sleeping. And I think we all have the ability to be that person who can sleep in the midst of chaos. And I think that's a goal we all should have. So I hope that I answered that question about peace. If any of you watching have any questions, do put it in the comment section below. I would love to answer them in the midst of what I'm already answering. But yeah, hopefully what I'm answering also helps you in some way. The second question I got about purpose was, many people said, I still haven't found my purpose. I don't know where to start. So I think that's a very common question. I myself shared in the podcast about my own journey to find my own purpose. But in addition to what I already shared, I think I shared two things. I shared, start where you are, look around where you are, and try to find something to do in the situation you are placed in, because I believe you are where you are for a reason. So that was the first thing I already shared. And the second thing I shared was, um, start small. You don't have to do this big thing. You don't have to be a Ratan Tata to find your purpose. You can start wherever you are. Even your family is an aspect of your purpose. But in addition to that, one of the other things that I often tell people is that find out what upsets you. Now, it might seem a little strange, like, why do you find out what upsets you? But let me explain. If you think about the things that kind of make you upset or sad in life, if you see something and that upsets you, that often is linked to something that you were meant to do. So for example, if you are someone who hears stories of poverty, and poverty is something that makes all of us sad, but if it especially makes you sad, I think there might be some reason for that. Or if injustice, maybe if you see poorer people being put into jail for no reason at all, and because they can't afford bail, they can't get out as well. When you see that or hear the news about that, that really makes you angry. Maybe there's something in that to tell you what your purpose is, because I think there is something unique in all of our hearts that kind of lights up when we see something that happens, either in a good way or in a bad way. So be more conscious of what affects you, what makes you sad, what makes you upset, what makes you angry, and maybe you will notice what your purpose is. Also look at things that make you really really happy, and those are the things also that could lead you to your purpose. One of the things that I realize that in our current lifestyle is that we don't have the time to think, we don't have the time to reflect, we don't have the time to um, just be aware of our own thoughts, our own feelings. We are just always constantly either on the go, we have a lot of responsibilities, and so we're like, go, 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 or we are just surrounded by noise. We come back after work and we put on the television or we scroll on social media. So there is no space for us to think. And I think that is what is sometimes stopping us from being aware of what our purpose could be. So if you are really committed to finding your purpose, then take that time, take that space. You don't have to leave your house, you don't have to go on a holiday, you don't have to climb a mountain. You can just find that quietness in your day to day schedule and see what it is in your life that gives you happiness, that makes you more satisfied, and then do more of that, and you will find your purpose. I truly believe that if you seek, you will find. And so my hope is that if any of you are looking for your purpose, that you will just give yourself the space to think, to observe yourself, to be self aware, to reflect, to be conscious of your thoughts, be conscious of your emotions. And the more you do that, I think the more obvious your purpose becomes. Just start. I think many of us have not thought about it, we are too busy. And it leads to my next question, or the people's next question, and that is, what if my purpose conflicts with my other responsibilities in life? So if you're just joining in, share any questions you might have in the comments. I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Vignesh. And yeah, if you have any questions, do share it in the comments and I'll answer them. But I'm currently answering questions that have already been asked to me. So the next question on purpose that was asked to me is, what if my purpose conflicts with other responsibilities in my life? And that's a very common question again, because we all have responsibilities. Some of us have more responsibilities than others. I understand that. I get that. The first thing I would like to say about responsibilities and purpose is that you don't have to leave your responsibilities in order to live your purpose. There they could be in alignment with each other. They could come side by side, because sometimes I think people think that they need to then abandon their families, abandon their job, and then live out their purpose. But that's not true. I think you can still live out your purpose wherever you are, because as I said, you are where you are for a reason. So you were born into the family that you were born into the community you were born into. We were all born in India. If you're watching from India, if you're watching from some other country, you were born there for a reason. And therefore, your purpose is also there. You don't have to like go somewhere else to find your purpose. So is there a way to involve your commitments in your purpose? And I think for most of us, commitments are our family. So is there a way to include your spouse? Is there a way to include your children? Now in my own life, I remember when I was younger, I think my parents made sure that when they were living out their purpose, which was mostly to serve people, serve community, they always included us kids, and they never separated purpose and family. It was always integrated. So I remember a time when my parents were trying to found a network of people in the community. So they were going to different people's houses to kind of link them together. And my dad used to go to work. He was like a normal employee at that time. And he used to finish his work late. And my mom used to pack up like my homework and my brother's food. She'd pack us up and we would go to different people's house visiting. And that was always done together as a family. So he did not separate. He could have probably gone after work and done that. He could have visited people, he could have connected with them, but he always included us. And so I don't think there needs to be a separation. Find a way to involve your family in your purpose. And I think that's a better way of doing it. That way, your responsibilities and your purpose are not going to clash against each other. I think the other thing to also ask yourself is, are these responsibilities actual responsibilities, or are they pressures put on us by society? Because sometimes I feel like society has told us this is the way we need to do things. You have to go to a good school, you have to go to the best college, you have to get a good job with this amount of money, this package. You have to then save up money, you have to get a loan, get a car, build a house, uh, do these things for your family, get your kids into the best schools. And we put that pressure on ourselves, and therefore we are always only thinking about ourselves. We are very self centered in that way, where we are only thinking about our welfare and the welfare of our family. And then when we are doing that, obviously, when we think about purpose or we think about serving people, it's not there in our mind. It's not there in our mind, unfortunately. So it's time to think about, are these responsibilities self inflicted? Because I know many people who have chosen to go to a very like good company with which is paying them a lot of money, but is squeezing them for their hours of work. And they don't have time even for their own families. Forget about purpose. They are only living for the weekend. And even on the weekend, they're so tired that they don't have time to do anything or don't have energy to do anything. So I think we all need to choose for ourselves. We all need to prioritize for ourselves. We all need to see whether are we self-inflicting ourselves by responsibilities that we don't need to actually carry. Do we really need that amount of money when we do not even have time to spend time with our own family members? Do we really need that amount of money if we don't have time to serve other people? Do we really need to do that thing or that job that is making us so stressed out? I understand that there are some people who definitely are working in something that they would consider their purpose. So for them, work is like fun, it's satisfying, it's interesting because that is their purpose. But I know definitely for sure there are some of us who are not working in a job that is giving us that sense of purpose. So I'm not asking you leave your job, I'm saying give time for things that give your soul satisfaction. Don't get lost in that rat race that society tells us that we need to run. So evaluate that as well, I think. So there are two things, as I said. uh, Make sure that your responsibilities come in alignment with your purpose. And the second thing is to check whether those are responsibilities that you really need to carry. And then make sure that you make some adjustments in your life to give yourself that satisfaction in your heart. Because think we all long for more. We all know when we are satisfied and when we are not satisfied. We know the things that give us happiness and true joy, and we know the things that don't. And I think we need to do more of the things that give us that fulfillment than the things that drain us of life and energy, because we just have one life. So that is the other question I had on purpose. If anyone else has any questions. Hi, Surya. Nice to see you. Nice to have this chat with you. Um, yeah, I think the next question I got was on joy. And I don't know if you guys have watched that episode because that was the latest episode that we had. But the question I got from women, especially, was as a woman and a mother, I feel like it is selfish to seek my own joy or peace. So I understand that. I think most women and most parents would also feel that, I think. So again, I would say you don't have to escape your home to seek peace and joy. The whole point of building a life that you were meant to live is to build it wherever you are. So that means you are peaceful in your home, peaceful in your job, joyful in your home, joyful in your job. So if you are able to create that environment where you are, then it's not really selfish, because you are creating that environment in your current environment. that improves the quality of your current environment as well. So for that, you need to cultivate practices to find that joy, to find that peace, and that is wherever you are. Again, you don't need to escape your life. And I think one of the things that I want to remind all of you is you can't pour from an empty cup. So as mothers, as women, or as men with many responsibilities, you can't pour if you are empty. You can't give to others, including your own families, if you are empty. That's why even in an airplane, the first thing they tell parents is, uh, in case the oxygen mask falls down, you have to first put your mask and then put it on your child. But I think in our society, we have trained ourselves to kind of first give to the child, first give to the spouse, first give to the in-laws, first give to the parents, and then we think of ourselves. But I think you need to start with yourself. Make sure that you are doing that inner work for yourself, creating that peaceful, joyful environment for yourself, not running away. Again, I'm not saying leave your family, don't get me wrong, but creating it in your family, within your family. Because if you are at peace, your family is at peace. If you are joyful, your family is joyful. But if you are stressed out, your family takes on that stress. And if you are worried, if you are anxious, your kids take on that anxiety. So it's about doing that inner work and choosing peace, choosing joy in your present circumstance, so that you can create that environment even for your family members. So don't feel that it's a selfish thing to do. It's a very smart thing to do, and it is going to be helpful for your family as well. Hi Sheila, hi Pooja, hi Ramya. Nice to see you guys here. So yeah, these were some of the questions that I got. Does anybody else have any questions that I could answer? I'm not an expert in this. I'm not an expert in these topics. I'm just learning like you are. I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm reading, I'm absorbing and practicing. And so I think I'm just sharing what I've learned, and that is the whole point of this podcast, is building the life that we were meant to live. And I want to create that community of people who on a Saturday night are sitting here talking about peace and purpose and joy. And I know some of you came here just to support me. You might not be interested in this topic. Hi Tamil, nice to see you as well. But yeah, if you are really um intentional and serious about building the life that you want for yourself, I think this community is going to be that support system. Because as I said, we don't talk about these things usually, and the more we talk about it, but the better our are going to be. So let's be that community that talks about things that make our life better, rather than just gossip and spend time talking about other things. Hi, Augustine sir. Hi, Saranya. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in. I think if there are no more questions, I would like to just end with a few thoughts that I wanted to add. Uh, Hi, Malika. Yeah, so your question is, could you recommend few books to read? I think I have too many books that I could recommend, but one of the books I have been reading in depth recently is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I know a lot of people in retail, the company that I work in, also have read this book. So if you are interested, you can read that book. And yeah, if I have any other books, I'll share it with you as well. Anybody else have any questions? Hi, Anish. I'll give you a few seconds in case anybody has any questions. Yeah. So I would just like to end with a few thoughts which were on my mind when I was sharing this podcast with people, is that it's all about choice. It's about a choice that we all need to make about our own lives. It's not something that anybody can make for us. it's a choice we need to make for ourselves. And I know sometimes we blame our circumstances or our families, and we say our families didn't teach us this, or our school didn't teach us this, or our college didn't teach us this. But I think at the end of the day, we are thinking human beings who can very easily make that choice for ourselves. But it is a hard choice to make, and I think that's where we struggle a little bit, because we don't want to make that hard choice, because anything hard is something we want to avoid. It is harder to choose to respond to a situation in a better way. It is harder to be kind when we don't want to be kind. But at the end of the day, I think it's a choice that we make to make our lives better. And maybe the people around us also will think our choices are weird, like, why are you listening to something that is going to build your life? Why aren't you watching a reality TV show, for example? Or why are you reading a book? People make fun of people reading books. But if you are serious about building your life, you need to make that choice for yourself, because it's your life and you have only one life. So I think, yeah, let's choose to build the life that we want to build. And this community is going to be a community of people to support that. And so you have a group of people who are also thinking the same way as you. Um, Thanks, Nelson. I think Pooja asked a question: what is your source of peace and joy? I think for me, God is the source of peace and joy. I have deep faith in God. And because I have that, I know that, because I believe in God, I know that God is there to take care of a lot of things. And so when you trust in a higher power, when you trust in God, I think it becomes very easy to live life, surrendering all your worries, anxieties, fears to Him, and just enjoying your life. So I think that is the biggest source for me, is to have peace and joy. I think. Somebody else. Yeah, Venkat asked the question, whether purpose is inherent or self defined by us. I think we are born with a specific purpose, because, as you can uh, see in yourself, there are certain natural talents or qualities that you are born with, and there are certain things that come from learning. So I think there are certain things that are inherent in us. It is kind of in our DNA, so to speak. And so I think purpose is also one of that. Not to say that your purpose can't change, it evolves depending on your life situation. I remember my mother saying this. So she made this comment in one of her speeches, I think, where she said her purpose when my brother was alive was to take care of him, because he was disabled and fully dependent on her. But when he passed away, that did not mean that her purpose died. That meant that her purpose had to change. So purpose does evolve, but yeah, it does start with who you are already. And if you are able to find that out, great. That means your life is going to be so much better than it was earlier. Thanks for asking that question. I'm glad it's been helpful. I just want to try out this format, and if it is a useful format, I think maybe I can do it periodically, just so that we can have these type of conversations very informally, not that formal podcast with edited everything. Hi, Saranya, nice to see you. Any other questions anybody has? So I think Maliga asked a question. What is your thought on feeling jealous? I think jealousy is a destructive emotion, honestly, because I think you're jealous because you don't have something, or you see somebody have something that you want. But I think when you believe that you have whatever you were supposed to have, and you are living the life that you were meant to live, then jealousy is not needed. But unfortunately, we as humans, we compare. It's a normal thing, but it honestly also steals our joy. And that is one thing I wanted to add in my joy podcast was comparison is the thief of joy. So when we compare, I look at somebody else's life and say, oh, I'm in Coimbatore right now, and if I look at somebody living in Australia, for say, and I think, okay, they are living such a great life in another country, they are enjoying themselves. I will be unhappy here, and then I will be depressed, I will be sad, I will not uh, be thankful for what I do have. So I think jealousy, if you notice jealousy in yourself, or if I notice jealousy in myself, I always think to myself, why am I having that jealous feeling? And then I correct my thought process. And mostly the jealousy comes from wanting something that you don't currently have, and that means then I'm not happy with my life currently. So yeah, it steals your joy. That's just the basic summary of what I said right now. Is it steals your joy, so better to avoid it, and always check where is it stemming from. Is it that you're not happy with your life right now, or something else may be going on? uh, Nit- Nitya has asked a question, what about expectation? Do you mean expecting things from others? I'm thinking that's what you mean. Yeah, I'm going to assume that's what you mean. So, expecting things from others, I think, again, expectations sometimes, if you have too much expectation, it leads to disappointment. So, we need to really be conscious of what we are expecting and who we are expecting from. So if it is someone you know who's trustworthy, who is someone who has never let you down, then go ahead and expect, because they have a track record of fulfilling your expectations. But if it is somebody you don't know, or somebody who doesn't have a good track record, I think it's just better not to expect, because if you expect, then it leads to a lot more disappointment. So it's always better to under expect, and then if something good happens, be happy about it. That's how I do things, but hope that helps. How to control our emotions and anger, Shalini is asking. You just make a choice. I think as I said in my, I think in one of the episodes, I said that we have the power of choosing one thought over the other. That's what differentiates us from animals. Animals react to situations, human beings have the power to respond. And there is this very famous book or author who talks about, Stephen Covey, who talks about between stimulus and response, there is a gap, there is some space. So between something happening to you, maybe somebody triggering your anger, somebody disrespecting you, and between that and you reacting, there is a space. And in that space, we can stand and we can take a pause, and we can choose how we want to react. And so I think with every emotion, whether it is sadness, whether it is anger, whether it is irritation, with any emotion, there is that space that if we take the time to wait, take 10 minutes, 10 seconds, more than that if you need to kind of calm yourself and then respond. I think we can control our emotions, but it takes effort and it takes practice. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Trust me, I have tried this. I think in the initial stages, sometimes you have to walk out of a place sometimes, just to avoid reacting. But once you train yourself to take that pause and that space to react, then you can do it wherever you are. You'll still be able to control your emotions. So, hope that helps. Glad to know that, Tamil, you agree with me. Yes, God embodies peace. Thanks, Janita. Yeah, I think this podcasts are going to be released every Thursday as usual. So if you are interested, continue watching, and maybe here and there I'll do these type of live streams. Hope this time works for everybody. You can send me a message or a comment about what time works better. If you are later sleepers, maybe later in the night works better, or if you go to sleep early, then maybe earlier works better. But I'll try to do this just so that we have a space to have these type of conversations. And yeah, I just want to leave with one thought, that uh, the foundation of our lives is the most important part, right? So this whole life under construction analogy came from a building that needs to be constructed, and the foundation is obviously the most important part of a building, but it is also the most boring part. Quite honestly, all of us, if given the option, we prefer to think about the interiors, about the curtains we're going to hang and the plants we're going to put, or the colors of the walls or the tiles. The interiors are the fun part, but the foundation is boring, but it is important. And I think this podcast and this platform is just to encourage us to focus on this boring part, even though it is boring. And even though people around us might also think we are boring, they might think we are very serious. Suddenly, what happened to you? Why are you changing? Why are you not reacting? Why are you taking so much effort on building yourself? Why are you controlling your emotions? People ask that question, like, why are you so peaceful all the time? Why can't you be angry? And that is because being angry has become so normal, being reactive has become so normal. So I think when we make that decision, and I believe all of you here listening have made that decision, that you want to build your life, so that starts from the foundation, and that foundational part is your self. It's not about the achievements, it's not about the exterior, it's about the interior. It is about who you are as a person. And I think if you take that seriously, not taking into consideration what people around you are saying, I think we're on the right track. And I'm glad that you all are with me on this path. And I will continue to share what I'm learning, what I am gaining from the world and from my own journey. That's what I'm going to be sharing. And I hope that you share with me as well, because I also want to keep learning from you guys. And my hope and prayer is that all of us here would live the lives that we were meant to live. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I will end the live now. I think we are almost for 37 minutes in. So thank you so much for spending your Saturday night with me, and we will do this again. See you.